This is just a story I happened upon last night when I saw Matt Taibbi being interviewed on the Breaking Point show, and about this drug Ivermectin and the social media censorship that has resulted about people talking about this. So I think it's worth discussing why is talk about ivermectin as a potential COVID-19 treatment being censored. So this is from Taibbi's Substack, Why is Ivermectin Become a Dirty Word? And just, a little background. This is from the American Journal of Therapeutics, published June 17th, 2021. Ivermectin for prevention and treatment of COVID-19 infection. A systematic review, meta-analysis, and trial sequential analysis to inform clinical guidelines. And again, this is already a FDA-approved medicine, anti-parasitic medicine that has really, awesome healing properties in that aspect. Yeah, the anti-parasitic ivermectin with antiviral and anti-inflammatory properties has now been tested in numerous clinical trials. Data sources, research bibliographic databases up to April 25th, 2021. To review authors, sifted for studies, extracted data, and assess risk of bias. Meta-analysis, therapeutic advances. Conclusions. Moderate certainty evidence finds that large reduction in COVID-19 deaths are possible using ivermectin. Using ivermectin early in the clinical course may reduce numbers progressing to severe disease. The apparent safety and low cost suggests that ivermectin is likely to have a significant impact on the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic globally. And again, if this is something, especially countries in the so-called global south are able to get more readily than vaccines, and this is effective in, negating the disease progressing to that severe status, why not look into it? Why not allow people to have the debates and talk about it? So I think that is really just disgusting that, these social media platforms, whether it be Facebook or YouTube, aren't just allowing the debate to happen, to talk about it, for people to, hear both sides of the argument. Why is that not allowed to happen? And, perhaps one of the reasons is that this drug is a generic. It can be manufactured and obtained by these countries fairly cheaply and more easily compared to these COVID-19 vaccines, where these drug manufacturers are making, just hand over fist fucking types of money. Let's see. Alright, let's get back to Taibbi's article. At the worst moment, internet censorship has driven scientific debate itself underground. So the Senate, Homeland Security, held a hearing, medical response to COVID-19. One of the witnesses, a pulmonologist named Dr. Pierre Corey, insisted he had great news. We have a solution to this crisis, he said unequivocally. It is a drug that is proven to have a miraculous impact. Again, FDA approved ivermectin is what he's talking about. Genuine wonder drug in other realms. Ivermectin has all but eliminated parasitic diseases like river blindness and elephantitis, helping discover Satoshi Omura won the Nobel Prize in 2015. Corey, that doctor, that pulmonologist, had been trying to make a case, but claimed to the Senate that the public efforts have been stifled because, quote, every time we mention ivermectin, we get put in Facebook jail. The catch-22 seemed to be ensnaring science. With the world desperate for news about unprecedented disaster, Silicon Valley had essentially decided to disallow discussion of a potential solution. And now, why would they do that? Allow the fucking discussion, marketplace of ideas. because not enough research and study had been done. Once people weren't allowed to take drugs before they got FDA approval, now they can't talk about it. I mean, that's pretty jarring, right? Can't even fucking talk about it? What the fuck? I want to try to be respectful because I think the attention is correct, Corey told the committee. They want to cut down on misinformation. Many doctors are claiming X, Y, and Z work in the disease. The challenge is you're also silencing those of us who are expert, reason, research, extremely knowledgeable. And again, it seems like the research up until this point, like I showed at the beginning of this, have proven that there is at least some efficacy of using ivermectin to treat COVID-19, at least from it progressing to that, severe status, which can lead to fucking people dying. And why not allow that information, that dialogue, that debate, that conversation out there? I think that is definitely more dangerous, that type of censorship, than the, having the debate itself. 8 million people watched it, but YouTube, what appears to be a first, removed video of the hearing, a fucking Senate hearing, as even Senate testimony was now deemed too dangerous for public consumption. YouTube later suspended the Wisconsin senator who invited Corey to the hearing, and when Corey went on podcast to tell a story, YouTube took down those videos too. I think that was maybe like Brett Weinstein was maybe interviewing that guy, I'm not sure. Corey's like a ghost who floated through the internet, leaving suspension and black and warning screens everywhere he went. The December 2020 hearing on ivermectin wasn't Corey's first senatorial rodeo. In May of the same year, he appeared before the same committee on a different subject, the use of corticosteroids in treated COVID-19 patients. Corey belongs to a group called the Frontline COVID-19 Critical Care Alliance, FLCCC, founded by a well-known, if controversial figure, Dr. Paul Marik, the author of 4 books and 400 peer-reviewed articles. I mean, the 400 peer-reviewed articles is pretty fucking impressive, frankly. Marik is a colossal figure in critical care. The word giant came up in more than one interview for the story, yet one with a definite reputation for bucking medical invention. At the outset of the pandemic, Marik and a group of like-minded colleagues around the world got in contact to form the FLCCC, trading stories about what doctors are seeing on the ground with COVID-19 cases everywhere from Italy to New York to South America. It was like a command center, Corey calls, and we read the papers like you wouldn't believe. Right, let's see. So he's talking about the corticosteroids. So they're talking about they developed a protocol, vitamin C, blood thinner, heparin, steroid, methylprednisolone. God damn, that's a long article. So this is the FDA and ivermectin. The FDA is concerned about the health of consumers who may self-medicate by taking ivermectin products intended for animals, they wrote. People should never take animal drugs. But it's also been FDA approved for human use, not to treat COVID at this point, but for, other things, for its anti-parasitic qualities. And then National Institute of Health said the same thing. Trials were done in Egypt, Bangladesh, Brazil, Spain, India, Peru, Paraguay, and other countries, and many claimed dramatic results. Upwards of 220 papers published. I cited that journal earlier. That's interesting. hypothesizing perhaps that the reason African countries have a lower incidence of COVID-19 because so many of them might be already taking ivermectin. Consultant to the WHO, Dr. Andrew Hill, University of Liverpool. He said it was a lowering possibility because of a course of treatment. Third world countries cost just $1 to $2. Not enough data for the WHO to make a recommendation. So there's that doctor, University of Liverpool, WHO consultant, talking about these different meta-analysis for ivermectin. Look at that. I mean, that's showing the time to viral clearance control group. So that's good. You have a control group you're comparing it to, and then ivermectin. Wow, look at the results in Egypt. It's pretty damn impressive. There's people criticizing it. Dr. Zane Caliglia, McMaster University, Ontario. Very low grade evidence. So people in these poor countries began self-medicating with ivermectin. Oh wow! May last year, healthcare workers passed out 350,000 doses in Bolivia. University of Peru gave out 30,000. So many people are already on it. Describing an Argentine study in which none of the 800 subjects given ivermectin had fallen ill. He said, quote, "It obliterates transmission of the virus. If you take it, you will not get sick." At least, I mean, that could possibly be drawn from that study. I would say probably miraculous isn't the best term. Not very scientific, I think. Miraculous. As a result, doctors and orgs that may have little to do with politics but have advocated for ivermectin, from Dr. Tess Lowry's British Ivermectin Recommendation Development Board to California pulmonologist Roger C. Holt to many others, have been shut down online with the same unilateral abruptness platforms apply to hate speech to threats. Jesus. This is Dr. Sabine Hazan, a gastroenterologist, CEO of a genetic sequencing lab called Biome, and this is them. "I'm a doctor. My job isn't to do nothing. If I wanted to do nothing, I'd be selling shampoo," Hazan says. Patients got really sick. She tried everything, treating off-label with a number of drugs in combination, including ivermectin. Eventually, she ended up taking it upon herself to run clinical trials with repurposed off-patient drugs like ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, fearing that the lack of profit angle would prevent a major corporate effort in that direction. So again, I think, that is potentially this backlash. The big pharma doesn't stand to reap in, billions of dollars in profits from ivermectin. It's a generic. It can be produced very fucking cheaply compared to the traditional COVID-19 vaccines. I felt no one is going to be investigating a cheap solution, so I did it myself, she says. She uploaded the talk, lo and behold, got it taken down. It's amazing. These are doctors talking. It's not anyone selling anything. I mean, again, that is pretty fucking disgusting, the level of censorship on this story. I mean, perhaps even this video will get removed. I guess we'll see. Doesn't necessarily believe America cured by itself. I'm not sure just ivermectin is going to do the trick, but she's adamant that censorship and interference by both media and politicians is ruining science. Like many of the doctors who've been censured for discussing the topic, she believes internet carriers and politicians alike have a fundamental misunderstanding of how medicine works. All science, all medicine is a hypothesis, she says. Until you have a valid, verifiable, reproducible cure, it's all hypothesis. You need humility about what you don't know. It's like Einstein said, if we knew what we were doing, it wouldn't be called research. So Brett Weinstein. Again, I find a lot of his politics really abhorrent. Parodying the fucking bullshit that COVID-19 came out of Wuhan lab. I'm going to do a video after this about how that is bullshit because it had been found different parts of the world before supposedly it leaked from this Wuhan lab. Let's see. Weinstein did a show June 1st, included an interview with Corey, again, that doctor who testified at the Senate, doctor, pulmonologist, COVID, ivermectin, the crime of the century, swiftly removed by YouTube, with the notice declaring our team has reviewed your content. Unfortunately, we think it violates our spam, deceptive practices, and scams policy. Another episode, why is ivermectin not being used in other countries, removed with a similar warning. 2 more videos were either taken down or marked with warnings. Another with Robert Malone, the inventor of mRNA vaccine technology, was taken down during the writing of this article after it had 587,000 views, leaving Weinstein in a precarious position. Wow. After 4 warnings and 1 official strike in each channel, there are a couple of poorly received shows away from being out of business. Wow. If they gave me a 3rd strike, that would represent more than half of our income. Oh, is this YouTube? While we welcome content discussing possible treatment for COVID-19, our policies don't allow videos that encourage people to use ivermectin to treat or prevent the virus. As a result, we removed videos from Brett Weinstein's channel, they told Takey. Let's, his Substack. We apply our policies consistently to all content on YouTube, regardless of speaker. That's fucking bullshit. So pretty fucking interesting. Takes it on air. So pretty interesting. I mean, I just think the censorship aspect of it is pretty troubling. Like that doctor who talked about, like, we're like doctors, we're not selling anything, we're just talking about what we know and what we've done. And again, it appears, at least the amount of research has been done, is pretty worth looking into, discussing, talking about. Again, this was from the American Journal of Therapeutics, June 17th of this year. Master of Science, PhD, not sure what MBC is, PhD, MD, meta-analysis of 15 trials found that ivermectin reduced risk of death compared with no ivermectin. Pretty interesting. The Lancet, again, very prestigious medical journal. June 17th, 2021. Oh, was that the same one I just looked at? Oh, this looks different. Randomized controlled outcome. 45 COVID-19 hospitalized patients, 2-to-1 ratio. Standard care of oral care plus. So 30 who took the ivermectin, 15 controls. Concentration dependent antiviral activity of oral dose IVM. Ivermectin was identified at a dosing regimen that was well tolerated. Large trials with clinical endpoints are necessary to determine the clinical utility of ivermectin in COVID-19. So, sounds like it could maybe be helpful, but they think more research needs to be done. Here's another one, 2 days ago. MD, PhD, MD, PhD, MD, and a PhD. Damn, overachievers. Clinical infectious disease. So a journal article. So this one's came to the conclusion it did not reduce all-cause mortality, length of stay, or viral clearance. So they're saying they came to the conclusion it's not a viable option to treat COVID-19. So again, there's different studies coming to different results, but what's wrong with talking about that and, discussing it? PubMed. And then the WHO is saying it should only be used within the aspect of clinical trials. So this again from PubMed. Areas of certainty. We assess the efficacy of ivermectin treatment, reducing mortality and secondary outcomes, and in chemoprophylaxis among people with high risk. So they came to, again, a different conclusion than the last one I just looked at. Moderate certainty, so with a decent level of confidence is what they're saying. Evidence finds that large reduction in COVID-19 deaths are possible using ivermectin. Using ivermectin early in the clinical course may reduce numbers progressing to severe disease, which was basically similar to that first article, that journal of therapeutics I showed. Apparent safety and low cost suggests that ivermectin is likely to have significant impact in SARS-CoV-2 pandemic globally. Again, especially I think could have really promising outcomes for countries who already have access to this ivermectin for other purposes, for its antiviral properties. So again, I think the whole censorship around this is really, disgusting. And again, we shouldn't be calling it miracle drug, miraculous, anything like that. But I think banning discussion of it, censoring it, unless people are really making these wild claims, perhaps that's what Brett Weinstein was doing, at least, seems to be from maybe some of the comments on Taibbi's article. But I don't know, I just think censoring things, unless it's, really, really fucking out there, or it's, really disgusting hate speech type stuff, the internet should be a place where we're able to have these debates, carry on these conversations. At least that's definitely my perspective. Leave your comments down below. Should these social media companies, should big tech be censoring talk of, ivermectin or other potential treatments for COVID-19? Like the video if you like the damn video. If you made it this far, definitely fucking subscribe. Peace, all power to the people. Much